everybody, and welcome one more time to this space dedicated to personal development as well as touristic places from all over the world. I'm Nadia Flores, and today we're going to be talking about a beautiful subject, which is not to make stories in your head, and we're going to be visiting Xochimilco. It's going to be amazing. This is Grow and Travel. Stay with us. In Mexico City, we are at a beautiful place called Xochimilco, which is full of culture and history. So make sure that you stick around because it's going to be amazing. But before we do that, let's go to a coaching message. And here I am, floating in a beautiful trajinera in the middle of Xochimilco. That is Mexican Venice. And right now, I am here to, first of all, welcome you to this first vlog about personal growth. We are going to talk about why making stories in your head, first off, is not the most efficient use of your time or energy. And this happens because when we create stories, we usually part from this idea that we have in our head. So that means that we are already assuming something. We start from an assumption. We make an assumption about something. We assume things that we don't know for sure. And then from there, a whole story develops in our brain. Whether it's amazing or horrible or something in between, immediately our brain starts going crazy, our mind starts going crazy, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen because this happened and all this happened and all that, and you're creating this story that makes no sense whatsoever. It doesn't have any meaning, any true meaning, because you are creating it in your mind, but it doesn't mean that it's real. In the second vlog, I'm gonna give you 3 tips about how not to create stories in your mind and why it is so important for you not to create stories in your mind, and also to stop assuming things. So, in the meantime, let us keep enjoying Xochimilco. Look where I am! I'm on board a trajinera, which is the main vehicle here in Xochimilco so that you can go around the canals. It's kind of like the Mexican Venice, and I'm going to show you all about it. As you can see, it's very festive. There's lots of people already having party behind me, as you can see. And well, I just can't wait to take you, so let's get to it! Xochimilco is one of the most important and emblematic places in Mexico City. This delegation is located to the southeast of the city and has a temperate, semi-humid climate with rains in the summer. When one says Xochimilco, the parties on board the colorful trajineras in their canals that cross their chinampas immediately come to mind, and in this episode, we will indeed focus on this experience. However, we have to return because Xochimilco is much more than the trajineras. But for now, let's go on our trajinera tour. It is recommended to arrive at Las Flores Nativitas Pier. Here, you will find a parking lot, the crafts and typical clothing market, and the food and beverage market, and of course, several restaurants. Past these attractions, you'll find the colorful trajineras. For those who don't know, a trajinera is a type of flat-bottom boat made of wood planks and waterproofed with petroleum rubber. The trajineras are to the canals of Xochimilco as the gondolas are to the canals of Venice. But the trajineras are much more festive vessels since they are adorned in the front with vibrant, colorful flowers, and the painting of the boats is far from discreet. Remember that the trajineras are floating on the water of the Chinampa canals, so I recommend that you be careful when boarding to avoid tripping or even worse, falling. Now you're boarded. If you are in the mood for fiesta, party, it is just a matter of waiting just a bit for the mariachis, the banda, the norteño, or the marimba to come to your trajinera, all with their touch of regional Mexican music that will make you dance, sing, and have an incredible time. You can also ask your guide and captain to bring you closer to the musicians of your choice. Another option, if you prefer, is to bring your own speaker with your favorite music. While you float through the canals of Xochimilco, it is not uncommon for all kinds of vendors to come to your trajinera to offer the various products ranging from the one that sells tacos, corn on the cob, quesadillas, and other Mexican food delicacies, to the one that sells handicrafts such as flower crowns or silver jewelry. For you to have an incredible time, bring along a group of friends, your partner, or your family, and of course, the right attitude and the desire to have a good time. With that, you will be more than ready to spend an unforgettable day while enjoying a beautiful ride aboard the trajineras. I recommend you start your tour at noon so you can take advantage of the view of the chinampas and the other trajineras and their parties. If you don't know, a chinampa is an ancient method of agriculture and territorial expansion that, through a kind of rafts covered with soil, served to grow flowers and vegetables in the past, as well as to expand the territory on the surface of lakes and lagoons of the Valley of Mexico, making Mexico Tenochtitlan, what is now Mexico City, a floating city. Currently, the chinampas are still used for growing various vegetables such as spinach, Swiss chard, cilantro, rosemary, lettuce, and other crops. On a different note, there is an island to which we will return called the Island of the Dolls, which has a whole legend and is truly scary, but I will tell you all about that in another episode of Grow and Travel, so stay tuned. As you can see, Xochimilco is a magical place full of life, light, and color, so you cannot miss it the next time you're in Mexico City. Meanwhile, I'll leave you with these beautiful images of the trajineras in Xochimilco as we transition to our second block of personal growth. Let's get to it!
And as I float around beautiful Xochimilco on this beautiful trajinera, which is, the vehicle around here, Mexican Venice, I'm here to share with you the 3 tips about how not to make stories in your head about what could happen or what hasn't happened. No, focus. So here we go. Tip number 1, as always, and I usually tell you, self-awareness and consciousness. Be conscious of your thoughts. Be aware of your thoughts and where they are leading you to. Because if you are assuming things, when you start assuming things, let's remember that all of that has to do with a story. So that is actually tip number 2. Cut all sorts of assumptions. Everything that you're assuming will lead you to a place that you haven't even been there yet. Like you may be thinking, oh, this horrible thing could happen or this beautiful thing could happen. And both of those places lead you to nowhere. So cut the assumption from the beginning. When you realize, when you have that consciousness and self-awareness from tip 1, and you decide to cut the assumption, then we go on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is actually all about living in the present moment, the here and now. When you're here and now, you stop feeling and thinking about the past or what could potentially happen in the future. That's what is so important, to live in the present moment and just don't make any assumptions of past, present, or any other stories that could come across. And before we get going, I just wanted to say a special thank you to Luis. Luis is our trajinera man. He is the one that has been taking us around Xochimilco to see this beautiful place, and he's also shared with us many of the experiences that he's had, as well as some of the history and the culture of this place. So guys, remember that when you come to Mexico City, you have to come to Xochimilco. It's like a floating party, and there's always such a great time with all the musicians and the food going around and everything. Don't miss it. And we've come to the end of the show. I just want to say thank you so much for watching all the way through, and also I want to invite you that in case you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel and also activate the notifications button right below the video so that you can know when we have a new video, which you know already, that is every Wednesday. We have new material for you from a different place with a different subject in personal growth. Other than that, I'm Nadia Flores. This was Grow and Travel. See you on the next one.